I think first I will start from the basic premise of what democracy is. The simplest definition says democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So by that definition, I think any sensible person will want to anchor on democracy as a choice system for governance. So that said, I think in West Africa we've made that choice very clearly in the protocol on democracy and good governance by adopting certain constitutional convergence principles. And one of them is the fact that you have to come to power through free, fair, transparent elections. And then also constitutionalism and several other aspects. Now, for me, I think the reason why we're seeing all these coups, all these anti-democratic moves within our governance system across West Africa is the simple fact that we've not reached that point where democracy is able to guarantee development. I think it's supposed to be a vehicle that produces, the effect of development in the society. And I think the story of democracy in West Africa has to do with several things. First is the extent to which the people have a say in their governance. And I think using the case of Senegal, the emergence of President Diomaye Faye, it shows that the will of the people has counted, and for me that's very important. Secondly, you can also see the narrative of the campaign narrative of this president, and also linking it up with the campaign narrative of Ousmane Sonko, who is de facto leader of opposition in Senegal. They have certain things that they've raised which are very, very key, and that is, I think, what brought them together. One is the need for accountability, transparency in the process of government contracts. Two is the need for integrity of leaders. Three, and very important for us as West Africa, is the need to strengthen West Africa as a value system for regional integration for us. And I think on that note, I would say the people of Senegal have listened, to the plight, not just of the Senegalese people, but of the entire West Africa, So it establishes a benchmark that other West African countries can follow. The second is we can also talk about the quality of governance that comes out within the system, or the results of the governance system. And there I can draw an analogy on the way that our systems entirely, not just for West Africa, but the whole of Africa, has this, subtle dichotomy between a traditional society and a modern society, where we have the so-called political governance system superimposed over a traditional system that was continued from pre-colonial times. And they are not really integrated. That in itself produces its own kind of effect on democracy, which challenges the loyalties of people towards entrenching democracy, towards developing that seamless culture of democratic orientation within the society. That is why we keep on seeing, our governments coming up with policies that that sort of gag, the population itself, that prevents media freedoms, prevents citizens' aspirations to count, that produces, in fact, most of the times, I wouldn't say in all cases, but most of the times, the worst people, or those alleged to be, you know, corrupt in the system, as being the leaders.
Okay.
You know, so the third principle that indicates for us where we are on our democracy in West Africa has to do with the level to which ECOWAS as an institution and even our countries have been able to entrench a culture, a system of, you know, democratic awareness among the people. I think from pre-colonial times, and Paul has harped on that very well, from pre-colonial times, you see that most of our traditional systems had democratic, you know, orientations in them. You know, so democracy is not a totally new idea for our societies.
Mm-hmm.
However, we've not been able to synthesize a lot of these democratic values, traditional democratic values, into the value systems, into the governance systems that we have in place. I would want to see tomorrow an ECOWAS where it adopts or it reviews its protocol on democracy and good governance, and highlight some of these traditional democratic principles, you know, that we've had, you know, all the time. Yes, the current principles are there, you know, and they sort of allude to some of this. But, you know, being able to operationalize it in terms of our, you know, our cultures, you know, that is what we mean when we say every country, every system, or even the entire region needs to have a conversation about what democracy means.
What democracy means. Okay.